All right, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to You Don't Know Ball, episode 56. We're ecstatic to have you guys back after another I would say this week wasn't as crazy, but again, there's always something at least every week.
Yeah.
It makes me realize I knew nothing coming in that I thought I knew for certain.
Yeah, we both didn't have great weeks in our game picks. You at least came out positive. I did not. I think like something that I noticed this week is like, it felt like all the teams, like every team that was playing this week, like clicked. Like it felt like the first part of the season was over where teams were still figuring out what they want to do. And it felt like we saw competitive football in almost every game. And I feel like this is what we're going to start to see the rest of the year, where those teams that are truly elite are going to separate themselves and the fake contenders are going to kind of fall to more of 500. But to start off the show, we can go into the Jacksonville Saints game that happened on Thursday. And this, I got two questions. We'll start off with this one. Can the Jaguars realistically be a number one seed in the AFC?
Well, again, here we were. I think they really scared us the first few weeks, I'll say. We were kind of like, oh man, what's going on here? I think, if they stay on the streak, kind of pull like a 49ers last year and kind of just really ride out the end of the season on a really hot streak. With the division, as we said, it's surely possible. Again, I would say likely, no. But in the realm of possibility for sure. And that's all you can ask for if you're a Jags fan at this point. With, the history of what was going on and what you're looking at now, this is all you can ask for, is a shot to go win the Lombardi every year with this regime. And that's basically what I'd say the Jags are looking at, as long as everyone can stay healthy around. So give a round of applause to Jacksonville and Doug Peterson for turning things around so quickly as we do every single week. But
yeah, I agree. And something that I want to highlight too is like kind of the emergence of Travis Etienne. He's really been dominating these last couple weeks. And the thing that I want to point out is Calvin Ridley has not really been performing, which is very frustrating. And I think for Etienne to kind of, I feel like not that he's picking up the slack in like directly of Calvin Ridley, he is helping that offense be electric. And even though T-Law hasn't played crazy, like together between Lawrence and Etienne, they had 100 yards on the ground. And it's like, if you can get 100 yards on the ground and then throw for another 200, any game where you have 300 yards of total offense, like that is a solid day. It's not amazing, but it's solid. And if you can do that, you can beat teams, especially if your defense is playing at somewhat of a decent level.
No, yeah. I mean, I'll say number one, I'll say like Trevor Lawrence, even on the hurt leg, he was out here, again, rushing every single time an opportunity. I'll tell you what, it didn't look like it hurt. And with Etienne, man, good runner, and he's just a tough son of a gun. There was so many times where I'm watching, I'm like, no way he's about to go back in there. Because, I'm looking, he's on the sideline, he's hurt, and he's getting crunched. You can hear like, the Saints defense out here laying hit sticks. And I mean, dude, he's relentless. He kept going back out there. He wanted more. He wanted to keep helping the team. That's the thing too, is you can see, it's the innate connection too, I think, that Trevor and him have. It's like they want to fight for each other, like it's what you want to have. They have the history. They have literal championships together already at a lower level, but nonetheless, you get my point. Everyone does. They're fighting together. They've been a part of the same thing. I think that bodes well.
Yeah. And I here's my thing, kind of go back to the question. Currently right now, I mean, we can let's look at the NFL standings really quickly. So if we go to the conference right now, they would currently they're currently like the third seed. I don't know exactly the tiebreaker from the North between the Ravens and them, as they're both 5-2, and then the Chiefs are right now the 1 seed at 6-1. I guess my thing is, realistically, do you think like the Chiefs, how many games do you think the Chiefs lose for the rest of the year? Because that is really going to be the determining factor of if the Jaguars can secure the 1 seed. Because I honestly believe, besides maybe like the 49ers, that they can beat any team in the NFL on any given Sunday.
Well, no, I was going to say absolutely. And here's the thing. I've been thinking about this a lot. This is exactly what I'm going to compare the Chiefs to at this point. And anybody that used to be playing Madden a lot, because again, when I was younger, I used to be tearing into Madden franchises, man. Like when I used to have a lot of time out, I would be the offline franchises, simulating stuff, seeing how you could build a team. And I'll tell you this, everyone who played a lot, would definitely agree with this right here. You get to a point where you have some of your best teams, some of your most elite teams, no matter how high the difficulty is, and here's the thing, how much you're playing terrible at it. You could have a game where you've thrown like 5 interceptions. fumbled the ball. You have no red zone success. But the team is just so good. You're going to find a way once it starts. You're like, I got to, you dig out. You're like, I'm going to dig out a drive here and there. We're going to get back in this game. That is the Chiefs at this point. Like, even on their worst day, like, they're probably going to find a way to make a few plays. Mahomes is going to make a few crazy throws, and the defense is going to get a few tips and do a few crazy things. And we know what's going to happen. So, and this thing is, even when they play bad on some days, that's the reality of what they are at this point. So I'll say, looking at the schedule the rest of the year, from an honest perspective, the only games I say they have I'd say they have a chance to lose at this point. I see you have a chance to lose against the Chargers. You got a chance to lose against the Bengals. You got a chance to lose against the Bills. Chance to lose against the Eagles. Chance to lose against the Dolphins. Realistically, though, I'd say at most, I feel like they lose 2 of these games.
Okay.
I'd say I could see them losing about 2 more this year because it's really hard to go out and win all those. It is every single week. But again, come playoff time, come time that they probably will have the home field advantage. That's why we say the Chiefs are. That's why they're going to probably be there, because it's the team that they are. They just, on their worst day, they usually find a way. It's crazy.
I agree. So let's move over to the Saints side. Like, can the Saints realistically win a playoff game with Derek Carr?
I'll tell you,
because it's been very up and down. It's been super up and down, I feel like, for the Saints this year.
Well, so, okay. Again, as a Saints fan, multiple problems across the board, not just Carr. But let's start with Carr, right? He's missing a lot of easy throws. And I mean, he's missing the throw. Yes, he is missing certain easy throws on tape. But on tape, he also misses a lot of throws in the sense of he doesn't make the throw to something simple. That's just his nature. He likes trying to go deep. But that is not the Saints offense. No, it is not. Let me tell you, as a Drew Brees, I love Drew. I always will forever. Drew Brees truther. The way the Saints offense operates and has always operated, you got to be willing to take the low stuff, or else the high stuff isn't worth a damn. That's always how it's been. It's always how it will be. You have to get the defense to keep coming down, down, down. And if they don't, that's the whole point of our offense, is that the mesh and stuff is going to open things up that you will be able to get 4 or 5 yards at a time. And that's all you need at the end of the day. You don't need the chunks. Derek Carr doesn't seem to get that through his head yet. Part of the problem. But not just that, the receiver and QB communication right now is terrible. And not even just with Olave. Olave's getting the brunt of it, but it's not just him. I feel like a lot of them are not on the same page in terms of anything really at this point. It's kind of why I feel like part of the reason too, side note, it's like, why don't we see Jimmy Graham out there? Is it because they have no communication? Is it because they have no chemistry? I don't know. Bottom line is, my thing at this point is Derek Carr doesn't seem like he has really chemistry with any of our receivers besides Kamara. And even Kamara, truthfully, there's a lot of times that him and him, they just are not on the same page, and they're kind of looking back at each other like, what's going on? And Derek even said himself, he's wearing his emotions on his sleeve way too much. You are not Tom Brady. You earn that right to be able to wear the heart on the sleeve and be able to tell everyone to fuck off. He has not earned that right, especially in the black and gold yet. I think he's realizing it. Yeah, so the reality situation is, for more than anything, not only is the offense not in sync, they need to get like back in terms of like morale. Like, they need to get the morale back up, because they're not feeling each other in terms of like, yeah, I know exactly what he's going to do. Nobody has any idea what anyone is doing. It's terrible. I'm being honest with you. However, our defense, we'll look at how we even have wins right now, right? The defense is playing great. You could compare the Saints to a lot of teams right now that I'm watching where you're like, wow, like a lot of things are great, but man, that QB situation is really, really shaky. And that's literally the Saints right now. And what makes it worse with us with the Saints is that they had tossed, 200 mil in this man's lap. It's, I'm starting to say, like, no matter what, I would not be upset if the Saints started, like, literally drafted a QB next year and started at least looking to what we're going to do in the future. Jordan Love the situation. I don't care.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah, that was going to be my actual question to kind of like close this game out. What is a higher chance? The Saints make it to the NFC Championship with Derek Carr throughout his contract, or that Derek Carr plays out his full contract with the Saints, meaning they would cut him or trade him?
I feel like almost in the sense of too, just the way that the direction of the Saints looks right now. I know I sound bleak. I'm just being honest. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm jinxing it. But the reality is, I feel like we're headed towards, it's probably going to be and I don't think it's going to be a trade, because let's call it for what it is. What team really is going to trade for Derek Carr right now, especially after the history of the injuries, and then now seeing it just wouldn't really make much sense. I feel like we are probably headed towards a cut at certain point situations. Obviously not going to be this year. Probably wouldn't even be after next year.
Yeah, it would have to be after the 2024 season, because then you save $28 million. If you were to do it, I believe you'd be down. The dead cap hit would be like $52 million.
Well, and side note, I actually was thinking about this the other day when I was having dinner. I wanted to bring this up on the show. I think something a lot of fans need to understand too is, because a lot of Saints fans in this case, I'm reading a lot of it's like, why not just cut him after you cut him earlier. We just let it go. You take your loss. It's like, yeah, easy to say when it's not your money. When you're the one who's literally flushing $30 million down the toilet, you're going to look at the situation differently. And yes, I understand it's frustrating to us as fans, into any situation as a fan where you want them to just cut the loss and, tell them to fuck off. But that's the problem is from the monetary standpoint, you would just be taking such a big loss. In some ways, it's almost just not even feasible.
Right.
Right. That's kind of what we're looking at. But that's kind of the problem with why, side note, last thing, we're going to move on. But Mickey Loomis, I've been truthing you forever. You've done great things by us. You're a Saints legend. But recently, it's a what have you done for me recently league. It always will be. That's just life in general sometimes. It's kind of, we're looking at you, Mickey, like, Mickey, what's going on here? What's going on with there's been a lot of recent draft stuff we're thinking about. A lot of staff decisions we're thinking about. In the special teams unit, the Saints have the worst special teams unit in the league. I'll keep bringing this up every week. We cut both of our starters going into the year, and we signed 2 rookies that are both worst at their position group. Inexcusable. Mickey, we are questioning you at this point. We can move forward now.
All right, with moving forward, yeah, the Will Lutz trade never made sense to me ever.
Got to start asking who's in charge of these decisions.
All right, moving into Las Vegas at Chicago. Realistically, is there ever a scenario where, let's say, Justin comes back? Bears fans are going to hate this, and I don't agree with it, but this is what people are talking about right now. Let's say Justin comes back in 2 to 3 weeks, and he just plays for 2 weeks like shit. Is there a chance with, at that point, the Bears basically saying, we're moving on from you? Because if you come back and play like shit after being injured, this was supposed to be your evaluation season. Is there any situation for the Chicago Bears, not injury related, that Tyson Bagent finishes the year as the starting quarterback? Besides trade, too.
No, the fact that this is even some type of crazy. Bears fans have been you guys are in a fight with each other as a fan base. You guys have been beaten to submission by the other half of the fan base to never talk about Justin negatively or anything anymore at this point. Again, we're only objective. You're only honest. I wish nothing but success. I always said nothing. I want nothing but success from Justin coming out. I said a lot of good things. I thought he was going to turn into a really good player on the Bears. Again, situations matter. Obviously, the Bears situation was not situation for him. Hasn't worked out. So now transition to the next thing. I think it would only make sense for you guys to consider pulling the plug early, because here's my thing. Maybe you retain just enough value on him and his intangible skill set as a runner that some teams would be willing to give up 6th, 7th rounder for him, 5th round, whatever the valuation is at this point, where you'd still have some value, versus if you just leave him out there and he loses all his confidence, shits the bed every week to close out. I don't really think that any team would, they would probably just be waiting on you to cut and then someone is going to make a move. So I think from the sense of valuation, why wouldn't it make sense to consider it if you are the Bears? I mean, I don't know. That's the thing, is no matter how you're looking at this, I think if what I've been saying before the show even started, I think the Bears should be right. Because I said it a couple weeks ago that I was very, and again, I'm an honest guy. I said that you guys should be rooting for Justin to come and really play good. And that was the best case. Well, obviously it isn't going to happen. That isn't what's happened. And I'm sorry, it is not. So now you got to lean in to the generational guy. You got to lean into the Caleb hype. You guys got to take Caleb if you have the shot. And here's the thing. Nothing is certain yet. That's reality situation too, though, is let's say some way, somehow the Panthers find a way to pull a couple out and one of these other teams just keeps losing stays with 1-1 or something. I mean, is it likely? No. But again, when things get later into the year and things really materialize, I think we'll be certain of what things are going to happen regardless. But I think no matter what at this point, the Bears are going to have to move on from Justin probably regardless almost, because again, me, I'm very well, where does it go from here? And I know you are too. Where's the best case of Justin starting from here? It's kind of
yeah,
it's just, and again, not that Tyson did not come in and do anything impressive, but again, he came in 8 incompletions, a touchdown. I would say manage the offense basically all you wanted him to do. That was all they needed to do. They knew it. They needed to play simple, move the sticks, move the clock. That's what the Bears did. And again, for him to come in on the first game and do that so efficiently, and I feel like we waited till even for this year almost in a sense for Justin to be able to do that. It just does not feel like it's lining up for that. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't. And kind of to go off that on the other side, do you think this was a win for the Bears Or do you think this is more of a loss for the Raiders? Because the biggest thing is like, why are the Raiders so inconsistent? Why do the Packers come and beat out the Bears so bad at home week 1? Obviously, it's week 1. Crazy things happen. When the Packers have the better roster right now. They have the better coaches, and they lose to the Raiders on Monday night. But then they come to Soldier Field and get stomped out and lose by 18 points, 3 scores. So why are the Raiders so inconsistent?
Well, I think every Raiders fan knows the answer. I actually saw it was trending on Twitter the other day. But it's further than just him. There's a lot of problems with the Raiders right now. But the biggest one, it was definitely hiring Josh McDaniels. But I think a lot of people knew this when they made the decision, And, it is what it is. But every Raiders fan knows they got to pull the plug on this experiment after this year. And I think every Raiders fan at this point wants that to be the case. You kind of got to start fresh. And we knew this. We knew, but again, handpicking Jimmy G, what was the direction? This team is so directionless. And I'm glad you pulled him up because he was coming up soon. They took Tyree Wilson over Jalen Carter. Felony.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. And like, I understand the motive to not take Jalen Carter because, in all fairness, 9 other teams passed up on him. But here's what I'm going to say to you, Dobbs. If you do that and don't take like a productive player, then that's where the problem comes in. Because if you go through the 2023 draft,
I was literally just about to pull it up.
Let's do it right now. Because if we go, okay, first pick, Bryce Young, bad, horrible situation. We don't know what he is. CJ Stroud, balling in Houston. Pick 3, Will Anderson, playing good. Anthony Richardson out with IR, but was showing promise. Devon Witherspoon, playing
at an all-pro level, literally.
Playing amazing. Paris Johnson, good. Okay. Then after Tyree, you have Bijan, Jalen Carter, Darnell Wright, Skronsky, Gibbs, Van Ness, all playing better than Tyree Wilson.
What's crazy is it gets even worse around pick, I'd say even pick 17. When you go in the slew of Gonzalez, Jack Campbell, Cansey, you get Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Deontay Banks, Mozzie Smith. You get my point. Nolan Smith.
You literally could have took any of those guys and they would have done more for your team right now.
And this thing's not even, most of the guys I named are not even playing at an elite, not anywhere near an elite level. Not even a good level, but exactly playing at a level where you can throw them out and play snaps. I mean, Lord.
Yeah, the Tyree Wilson pick is looking very, very rough for the Raiders. And it's almost like, and this is the issue too, and then we can wrap up this game, is the Raiders are really positioning themselves to have one of those picks where they're picking 15 to 10. And it's that is mid purgatory.
Honestly, and we've been talking about this for a while. Honestly, I think we talked about this almost in a sense. We've been talking about this for a while. I don't remember exactly when it came up, but I think it was after the draft when we started to consider. We've always been talking about the Raiders' future. It's always been the thing. What is them? What is their direction? What's going on? And from the jump, we were saying they're probably going to be in a position where they're going to have to just unload and shoot up the draft board for a QB.
Yeah.
If they're not going to do it soon, it's they're going to have to do it. Because like you said, they're in that position. There is not a best case scenario our guy's just gonna fall to us. They're gonna have to shoot up and probably take their guy. And especially if they keep McDaniels around, if he doesn't get fired this year, he's gonna demand it. He's gonna say, "I need that guy. I need my guy. I need my guy." Of course, what else is he gonna say? If he's not, then the whole team is incompetent. The Raiders already as a whole. I'm not trying to get on them, but they're looking like they've been making incompetent decisions, as every Raiders fan knows. So this is not a surprise. But again, the reality of it does not change that they're going to have to shoot up and take their guy, or they're going to have to make a huge, crazy trade, huge free agent move. But really, who's that going to be?
I mean, I really think their best option, honestly, is to, it really sucks because you never want to move on from a player like this, but their team is so missed. It's just there's it's so barren. The talent is so barren. Besides Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Josh Jacobs, they got 3 really good offensive players. But my thing is realistically, what you could get for Max Crosby could really help your team.
Yeah, I was gonna say also you have Colton Miller, who definitely sitting on a lot of value right now too. That's the thing is they have some guys that are elite at their position. but the drop off is just
They're very top heavy.
And yeah, I'd say Trayvon Moehrig is one of the guys better at his position, but it's not like he's elite at his position. So yeah, what you're saying is, as I think a lot of Raiders fans have known, as we kind of knew, I even wanted to kind of compare them to a few other teams in the league right now where they teetered towards, can we stay competitive while trying to rebuild at the same time? And it's like, no, you have to just rip the ship down and restart. They're probably, what you're saying is they're going to have to just rip everything down and restart soon.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just like, it's just one of those things where you want to compete because you have like certain people and shit. But at the end of the day, what's the point? If you're not winning, what's the point?
And it's like we said, did they stand a chance to go on a Super Bowl run even with this team? We said they had fun pieces, but when it comes down to playing the elite teams, the Raiders did not stand a chance and don't stand a chance in the big games to go win 3 or 4 in a row. Come on now.
No, I agree. And in our record predictions, you had the Raiders at 5-12. I'm trying to wait and see. I had them at 6-11, and I believe I'm trying to remember what it was on, but I remember there was Raiders fans in our comments like, "Oh yeah, stay sleeping," blah 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 blah. But like, I just want to know what they saw. Like, I want to know what you saw on your team.
That's the problem, and this relates to more of the fan base than just the Raiders. But too many people don't look at things objectively. They get their emotions involved, and they think that you trying to tell them that their team's gonna suck is you insulting them. It's like, my boy, you are not related to them.
I mean, I had the Bears at 9-7, so I get it. I mean, I understand.
No, but that's the thing. As a Saints fan, I've gotten it for a while where it's like, I'll gas my team up, but then people bring back to reality. And they're like, dude, no. And I'm like, you know what? I want to get offended. But then the end of the year comes and I realize they were right. It's like, that's why you can't get your emotions involved.
Right.
Because when you get your emotions involved, you're clowning. You can't do it. Like people are just trying to tell you the truth for a reason. And the truth about the Raiders, they are just top heavy with talent, but the top heaviness is like, it doesn't even outweigh in the slightest. It's going like this. Here's the top heavy, or like this. Here's top heavy talent trying to weigh it down. And then you got the badness of the group. It's just,
it's like running back stock in fantasy. After the first couple go, it's not even worth it to touch them.
Yep. No, that is the Raiders. And that's exactly why they need to, they just need to rebuild. We're going to call it for what it is. We'll be the first to call for it at this point. Just scrap it all down. And you got to trade your stars. Since no one else wants to acknowledge it. You got some great stars. Find Max Crosby a winning home, please.
All right, moving in to the next game. We have Cleveland at Indianapolis. And my question to you is Myles Garrett Defensive Player of the Year already?
And I'm glad you started out with that because I wanted to address it right off the bat here. Going into the year, I had him, I think he was number 2 on the list, but I had him at either 2 or 3 as my best pass rusher in the league.
Okay.
I had Micah above him. Yeah, no, let's call it for what it is. At this point, Myles is in his own league as a pass rusher. In terms of if you don't double him or chip him, there's absolutely no shot. And not that Micah is not still very close, and Micah's different too. Micah's just different. But Myles is just a specimen. Like, you really can't leave him one-on-one. Sometimes you really can't leave him 2-on-1. It's just he's really different, very strong. The way he approaches blocks, he's just going to destroy you. And yeah, it's just, and the thing too is this game showed it's not even just the pass rushing. Like, he's just an elite defender in every sense. Shit, he's an elite special teamer. You know, I mean, he literally making blocks on the field goal unit. Like, Myles Garrett is an elite player. Myles Garrett understands gaps. Myles Garrett understands how to get in the backfield better than anybody else in the league right now. That's just what it comes down to more than anything. Myles Garrett should probably win Defensive Player if he can stay healthy. To answer the question.
7.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, a pass defended. Trying to look for TFLs. I don't even see, where is it? Does ESPN not have TFLs?
See, I'll be able to get you in 1 second here. Just give me 1 sec to stall, and I'll tell you.
Yeah, no, I just think it's like too, like with the block field goal, and I know it's like
just for up to 6 tackles for a loss.
Okay, 6. It's just like when you see a player do that, like not a lot of people attempt that because they usually end up hitting the center or stuff like that. Like, he is just a game wrecker where it's like, even if your defense has a bad day, it's like, can it really be that bad with Myles Garrett playing?
No. So I just wanted to talk about 2 recently. I was thinking about this. And again, correct me. Somebody tell me if you tell me if I'm wrong here, bro. Literally help me out. But I don't know if there's been a pass rusher in any recent time or even like the last, I'll say decade or so. And I could sound really dumb here in a second. Tell me if I'm wrong. But where their draft profile actually equated so perfectly to how they ended up playing in the league. Like Miles coming out was like, no, dude, this guy's a freak. Like he's going to be strong as shit forever. He's going to be able to just blow up the edge. He's going to be able to, he's built to do this forever. And again, I didn't really watch football seriously when he was coming out. I was much more like, I was much more casual back then. I didn't really even care about the draft process or anything. And I remember I'm looking at him like, okay, I'm seeing this guy out of Texas A&M, and yeah, he looks big, he looks strong, but I didn't know how he was going to project because I didn't watch anything like college, anything like that back then. I didn't like watch and study it. But it's like, no, but he translated to exactly what everyone was saying that was a scout. Like, yeah, this guy's going to just wreck games forever. He's just built so strong and big off the edge that it's impossible to block him one-on-one. He really did translate to like exactly what he was supposed to be. Whereas I feel like a lot of other, not a lot, but just nobody else has really translated to like exactly what they're supposed to be, like Myles Garrett that was like a first overall like D end in recent memory.
Yeah.
Or like even a top 3 D end in recent memory. Like,
I can't think of it. I know, I won't say like draft profile and exactly what they said, but I know Aiden Hutchinson was like number 1 overall pick. He was taken number 2, but he has like performed exactly how you'd expect him to.
Yeah, that's a pretty good comp actually. Okay. And Aiden's come on really quickly. And then last thing I want to say about Myles, but it's worth noting because this is unbelievable. Last year, he finished the year with 26 quarterback sacks. And then the year before that, 33. Right? We're
quarterback hits or sacks?
Hits. Like times got into the quarter. Basically, just got into the quarterback without, you know what I mean? But then this year, we're already up to 16 and we're 6 games in. What is he on pace to do? Like, what is that? Like 40 something at least? It's like 44.
16. We're at 16 already?
Yeah, 16 at 6.
16 divided by 6.
And again, he played
times 17. Yeah, about 45.
Isn't that? I mean, that's just.
I mean, he's an animal. Like
those are like unbelievable numbers. And then also the 7.5 sacks. We're on pace for about 18, 17.
So let's just talk about the Browns real quick. Like with the quarterback situation, how they won this game. Like it's very admirable that they won this game, especially with PJ Walker playing. What is PJ Walker like 2-0 now? Like I know Deshaun played, but
it's a testament to the Browns defense. And also, I just butchered the number of projected sacks Myles was on pace for, but we're gonna move on and just disacknowledge it.
Okay.
But no, I mean like that's. But I'm glad you brought that up too, because bro, PJ Walker, as of right now, call it for what it is. He's playing. I mean, he's playing like the worst starter in the league because he wasn't supposed to be starting. Hey, I'm happy for him. I'm happy to see PJ out here doing his thing. I don't think you can really ask more from PJ. Let me be clear: if you're a Browns fan, if you're an NFL fan, he's getting thrown into the fire in a situation I don't think he expected either. Making it work. But the point is, playing like basically as bad as you can play while starting and having a shot to win. And his defense is out here every week, letting him. They're giving him the shot and they're winning the games. When you have a defense like that, as we said, when you started, you can go all the way with a team like that. It's coming down to if Deshaun can stay healthy, though, because you can't, let's call it for what it is. You're not going to be able to go win the Lombardi with PJ.
I guess my thing is, though, like, what do you do with Deshaun Watson? Like, he hasn't played nearly up to his contract.
Nearly. But I think you're being generous with
I know. Man. It's like, it's like atrocious, honestly. And it's like the injuries, and it's like, okay, I'll ask you this, and then we can move on to the Colts. Do you think he 100% is locked in, ready to win a Super Bowl with the Browns?
This went back to what happened the day the contract was signed. It's innate human nature, bro. This is like something I feel like not a lot of like analysts or anybody that talks about this ever says. And correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe they do. I don't know. I've just never heard anyone talk about it. When you're going to sit here and give a guy all these guaranteed M's. And it's like, why do you see a lot of times a dude will go from playing really well to getting that second, third deal? And you're like, what happened? Oh, I'll tell you what happened. They feel security. And when they feel security and they don't have an innate desire to go dominate other people based off of insecurities about themselves, all these other things psychologically to go into it, they say, fuck it, man. I'm paid forever. I don't need to go fight how I was fighting. I don't need to go make the same plays I was making. I don't need to go put my body in the line the same way I was putting my body in the line. And everybody sits here and acts like that's not true. Of course it's true. You see it in a lot of different aspects of life every day, not just football.
Right.
If you guarantee someone security for the rest of their life, guess what's going to happen? I'm not going to fucking fight the same way they're fighting before. No. Why do you think you don't see? Imagine if you told a normal guy that does a normal job that they're getting guaranteed even just a 1% of that, a 2 million, 1 million the rest of their life. You would see, I guarantee, a drop-off in production for 90% of people. I'm not saying 100% of people. There are certain people that, again, have that innate drive that I have to prove everyone wrong. I got to be the best constantly. There are people like that. But most people, not in that same boat. So what are we seeing with reality of life? When you guarantee a guy, 300 million? Go fucking figure that the man is not going to show up and fight and study, prepare the same way. Why would he? The preparation to an extent, if he doesn't have all the stuff, if he doesn't need to be the best in his head and mentally, there's no need. All that preparation is for null in his mind because he's already paid regardless. He could put up 1 yard, he could put up 1,000. Doesn't change the pay. Browns fucked themselves with the way they set this deal up. And everybody who even understood psychology, who said knew that shit, the guarantee was a mess. And I think it's going to remind everybody else for their future. I'm glad it happened this way, actually. Because the contracts really can't go this way, as this was obvious. That's why GM was so mad about this. And I'm glad you brought that up because, yeah, that's exactly how I feel about the situation.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked. Let's move on to the Colts. Is there any chance that you see the Colts making the playoffs? Currently, they are the 11th seed. They are 3-4 right now behind the Bengals, the Jets, and the Texans for the last seed, which is 4-3 with the Buffalo Bills.
I don't see any chance of them making the playoffs just because, again, the AFC is so tough. The AFC it's a gauntlet. But I think, again, they're going to finish the year much better than we thought they were going to finish. And they're definitely giving every fan a lot of hope for the future. I think, unfortunately, though, what it's turning into, and I never thought this was going to be the narrative the first couple weeks. Again, it was not looking like we were on pace for this at all. But now the narrative's turning into like, oh my goodness, a lot of other things are in line. Is A. Rich going to be able to stay healthy? And is A. Rich going to be able to, like, that's what it's turning into. Because obviously, if you're a Colts fan, that's what you're concerned about right now. You don't have the sample size you want to be getting of, let's get him back out there. Let's see how he looks when he gets back out there. You're literally already missing the man for a long, long period of time. And that's not what you want to see. It's a tough situation because I think things are looking like they're going to turn so much quicker than we thought. I think we thought they were going to be drafting so early. It was going to be one of those situations. And now it's kind of like they're putting themselves in that middle of the line where you're not going to be able to just take, like, probably you could, but you're probably going to be getting like a bunch of future all pros right away, like type of situation. Yeah. So
I feel like they made the right decision having him get the surgery, though.
No, for sure. I think that's the thing is it's tough, but you got to do what you got to do. That's the thing is you just got to, at this point, you have to ride it with faith if you're a Colts fan.
I agree. I think they're set up very well for the future. All right, let's move into the next game. We have Buffalo at New England. I think this game felt okay. So in reality, if you want to look at like just like how this game is set up, like a divisional matchup, a struggling team versus a team that's kind of on top, this game was set up to kind of be an upset. But I don't think like consciously like any of us thought that New England was going to win this game. And it's like, why can the Bills just not consistently get it done? Like we already talked about this, and it's just like it happens over and over again. Like the passing leader for this game was Mac Jones.
No, I'm glad you said this because that's the thing. You said nobody thought that. That's cap. Because even though I think I picked the Bills to win this game, I knew deep down this was the one because we talk about it. Like we talk about this every week. The Bills can never show up consistently to like competition below them. They love to just play around. And the thing is, what happens? I don't know. Like they remind me so much of but they really do. I hate to say it, but I would used to say this about when the Saints were like really good from the era of like 2018, like that 2019 era right there, like 2017. They would always do this where they would play really good against really good teams but then show up against their lower competition and you just never knew what to expect. Sometimes they'd lose it. Sometimes they'd play it way too tight. And you're just like, the play call selection is all effed up. You're like, what is going on? That's exactly how the Bills feel. You're like, all the identity, all the stuff that worked, we're not going to it tonight. Like, what is the problem? That's what's the most frustrating thing to watch because you don't know what the problem is. That's exactly how the Bills feel right now.
Yeah, it's just like, it feels like almost like an internal thing. Like it doesn't feel like anything that like maybe like obviously their play hasn't been the best, but it feels like there's something in that locker room that is disjoining them whenever they go out on the field because it's like sometimes they look dominant, sometimes they don't. And it's like it just feels like there's something internal with the Bills that just does not click all the time.
So what you're saying is during all the off season when we were hearing all this noise and all this stuff.
Oh, no,
and they kept telling
fine.
us, yeah, what you're telling me is when you bring that stuff to the public, it affects everybody psychologically. And all these teams try to brush to the side. That's why I think it's very important to remember. It's like, I feel this is why a lot of great teams, that's why you'd never really see that type of stuff coming out.
No.
Because you really can't. You almost can't afford it. Your culture has to be so good that if anything's even in a threat of something like that happening, We come together right away and we make sure that we squash it. Like, you have to have that type of culture. And unfortunately, right now, it looks like the Bills just don't have that.
I agree. And I think also the divisional aspect of this game makes it worse because let's talk about New England now. Like, I think it was really obviously like the defense. It was the reason they won this game. But also, how do the Patriots end up with 29 points against what we thought was kind of an elite Bills defense?
So again, I just want to, I don't even know where to start with this one, but I guess I'll start with shouts to Zeke, right? Shouts to Zeke for a little.
Zeke played well.
Shouts to Zeke for a little bounce back game. I'll admit, he didn't get a ton of touches or anything, but when he got in the end zone, it had me cheesing. And I was like, you know what? Good hard run, Zeke. Glad to see it back. But yeah, okay. So again, back to Patriots offense. Yeah, methodical. They left all. It's just. Also, I feel like made Mac Jones day easy, right? You know, a lot of easy windows, a lot of dumps. And when you let Mac just do that to you, let me catch it, rack it. It's right. It's gonna be an easy day for Mac Jones. And what's crazy is, like we said, that's the thing. Not the Patriots. The Bills are so much better than that. They're so equipped to deal with these situations. I know they're not all the way healthy and however you want to look at it, but no matter what, the Bills are prepared to show up for these games, prepared to be able to play the defense that needs to be played to beat the Patriots. And when you show up and you fall flat, and it's every few weeks, again, it's like that's the thing is, I don't think this is much about the Patriots. It just confirms what we know about the Bills. You know, the Patriots got thrown a bone and they executed on it, and you gotta be happy if you're a Patriots fan, right? But again, it's like I don't think this bodes for like, is it some turnaround for the Patriots? Like they've already had. We've almost always been like that. It's like that's gonna be the question all the time whenever they have a game like this. But it's like I think we kind of know what the Patriots are.
You saw the reports came out that they gave Belichick an extension in the offseason.
Okay, so I think they heard me. Yeah. I think hopefully though they're on the same page.
New GM.
Yeah, but yeah. It's like, Bill, I'll give you the money you want if you're willing to step away from the stuff that I want you to.
I think he will. All right, let's move into our next game. We have oh, wait, hold on. I clicked away from it. Let me just get to it real quick. Just because. All right. Washington at New York. So I'm going to tell you right now, when we were doing our game picks, I was like, the Giants are going to win this game, but I can't pick them because I know that it's either going to be a game where the Giants win or it's going to be a game where the Washington Commanders just absolutely shit all over them, and then I'm going to look really, really stupid. And I felt the safer choice was to go with Washington. But
I think I did the same thing.
It's a game where it's like the Giants, they have to win this game. So my question to you is there any chance that the Giants bounce back and get anywhere close to 500 by the end of the year? One or two games within 500.
You know what? Again, you know me. I always got to pull up the schedule when I'm going to answer a question like this. I have to get exact frame of reference on what I have coming up, right?
And just to kind of talk about it, even like in the beginning of the year, when we did our record predictions, we were both fairly low on the Giants, and a lot of people did not like that.
Yeah, I feel like again it was like that with the Raiders and the Giants, but here we are. And I'll say right now, bro, looking at the schedule, honestly, no, I don't think near 500. I think we can get 3-4 away at most.
Okay.
That's at most.
Okay.
But I do not believe. And again, if you're a Giants fan, no matter how you're going to slice this, it was a humongously disappointing season because they really were super faithful in a lot of things about this year. But again, the writing was on the wall in terms of a lot of things about the team are just not all the way ready to compete. And the Daniel Jones contract, again, the way QBs are being paid right now, it's not even Daniel Jones' fault.
Yeah.
But it's going to reconfirm. It's just the way QBs are being paid right now, it's not going to keep working like this.
This game felt like how the Giants went about their offseason, like how this game felt like how it was supposed to work. Like Saquon was decent on the ground. He had a decent amount he had over 100 scrimmage yards. Tyrod Taylor played okay. Obviously, you want Daniel Jones in there.
I would say Tyrod played.
He played pretty well.
Like for and it's the thing is when you're paying Daniel and you look at this, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah,
it's a disgrace.
But obviously, trading that 3rd round pick for Darren Waller, drafting Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt had 2 catches for 75 yards, and his long was 42. So they were both long catches, and it's like, bro, they need to get Jalen Hyatt way more involved. Like this team, like is barren of talent in the wide receiver position. Like give this guy that you drafted more and more opportunities. He made a big catch last week.
So again, and we were talking about it. And again, I get it from a coach's perspective, right? It's like they don't want to bring him in too early because they don't know a lot of things about, certain things about how to blocking within the offense,
right?
And certain responsibilities of option routes and things like that, right? And that's the thing. So I get it. They don't want to put the QB in a position where he's going to make a throw that's completely liability for everybody. Like,
right.
Don't want to put them in a liability position to QB anybody. I get it. But then on the other hand, like we say too, if you don't let them get in there and get confidence and make the mistakes and then learn from it, when is it going to happen?
Right.
And I think it's like you'd rather get them in there and have it when they're young, get over it early, versus having them go in year 2 or 3 making those young mistakes that are going to have to happen regardless pretty much. And then the confidence is so diminished because they're already thinking to themselves, wow, I'm already not playing with my value. They're looking at dudes that we're taking them. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do either, but you know my point. You look at dudes taking above them, already out producing them. I think dudes get in their own head.
Yeah.
That's my point is you want to put a dude in a position where it's like, look, man, I trust you. You know what? You're going to make mistakes, but I'm going to let you make mistakes and you're going to learn from them. And I trust that you're going to learn from them. And if you're a team like the Giants that are not a good team, what better situation to be doing it in?
Right.
That's how I look at it.
I agree. And also like going over to the Commanders side, I honestly think like this game probably solidified like the firing of Ron Rivera. Like to come in and lose to a team that's been kind of laughed at all year, especially when you're on the paper, the much better squad losing to a backup quarterback.
Oh, it's an excuse. I have words for this one.
7 points against this team is ridiculous, especially when your defense held them to 14.
Yeah, so let's start with this, right? Let's start with the fact that for the last 3-4 years, the Commanders, along with the Raiders, have been our 2 identityless teams. They have no identity. They have basically no direction. They have competitive pieces, but not enough of them, right? They're like carbon copies of each other in 2 different conferences. The issue is, right, you brought in Bieniemy. He's the OC now. So it's like, was that just the plot to, are they going to promote him? Is that your new head coach? I guess you have to ask yourself, like, that's what I think you feel like that. It's not probably is the direction they're going to go. Let's say that they don't though. Is Bieniemy saying, is Bieniemy like, I'm out the door? These are all hard things in the future. But I'm just saying, if you're a Commanders fan at this point, it's a tough, again, it's just tough because, and again, with the window of opportunity to win things, we see how Jonathan Allen was this week. You see how your stars feel. It's like, are you going to be able to have these guys on the roster, bro? That's what I'm saying. By the time it's time to compete,
he said, I've been here for 7 years. It's the same shit.
Are they going to be able to keep these guys around? And even if they do, are these guys going to be competing at this prime level? I think just like we're saying, much like the Raiders carbon copies, they're probably going to have to shell off a lot of talented guys this year. And because they didn't do this earlier, you're really biting the bullet now with nothing left, as opposed to if you just shipped out a couple good guys, you're willing to tell Ron to fuck off. And that's the thing. Ron has been a great coach throughout history. I don't know to be disrespectful to Ron, but recently, Ron has not been a good coach. And I would say he just hasn't been a productive coach, right? I can't say good. Not productive. He's not producing wins. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. He's not producing wins. So the bottom line is he's got to go. But that's the problem. You waited too long to do all this stuff. You're going to be in a really, really bleak position where you got to shell out a lot of good guys that might have been able to stick with you long term if you did this earlier. But now they're going to be wanting to be paid and they're going to be getting older. The window is closing with this squad. You got to shell it out. And it's just a really tough situation.
Okay, so to end the conversation on this game, who's more likely to get dealt, or who do you see getting dealt? Sweat or Young? Who's more likely?
I think Chase Young's definitely more likely.
Okay.
Because I think every Commanders fan would agree at this point if you had to pick one of them, right? I mean,
Chase has played better this year.
That's the thing. He has. But I think with my thing with Chase is that I'm always, with guys that have been injured a lot, it's always like, you're kind of like, I don't want to say waiting on, but you're always very like, oh man, I can't think of the word. You're worrying the whole time you're watching. You're worrying. Versus a guy like Montez, it's kind of like you can just watch, lean back. You're like, I'm not worried. Like I think this is what it's going to happen every week. Like I expect them to be out here. So I'd say I'd probably lean towards Chase, but you never know. They could surprise us for sure.
Best ability is availability. Moving into the next game, we have Atlanta at Tampa Bay.
This was probably the most stressful game of the week.
So my question is, and it's kind of similar earlier to other question. Can the Falcons win a playoff game with the way they play?
Again. I mean, so if you're a Bucs fan, we'll start off with this. I'm going to start off with how Bucs fans feel. you feel like you guys shot yourself in the foot, and you guys like they could have won this game so many times and they didn't.
Oh yeah.
You have every opportunity to go win the game. I guess if you're a Falcons fan too, though, you could be just saying like, well, we pissed away all of our chances to go close the door to the game, and they should have closed. But that's my thing. Is it's like the Falcons do this every week at this point. You know we're just going to throw you a couple bones, right? You know it. So it's like when you're a defense and you feel like that, really, how are they going to? I mean. And it's just, I feel like when the Falcons play a really good team, they're still outmatched. It's not like they're outmatching good teams, even in like most departments. Like they have good starters across the board in a lot of positions, but again, they don't have any elite units yet, I feel like. So it's still just like you have good building blocks, but again, when it comes to, and that's the thing, the first few weeks, I think they fooled me where I thought a lot of things about them were really elite. And now I'm realizing like they have good units and they have like a lot of really good guys on the squad here and there, but it's not like not even one unit's like all the way rounded all the way where you're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd say I guess you got a really good O-line unit. I'd say O-line, you have a really well-rounded unit, but minus the O-line. And you know what I mean? So it's like you still have some building to do. You got to find the guy at QB.
What happened to Bijan?
So apparently he
was ill, but they were saying like the NFL is reaching out to them because they're like, why didn't they disclose it?
Yeah, I feel like the whole situation, I don't want to use the word concerning because I feel like people use that word a little too much when it's not, but it's at least intriguing.
Yeah.
Where I do feel like there's got to be more to the story. Like, and again, sometimes you don't want to discuss certain things, so you have to say something else happened. But I guess that's the point, is you almost ask yourself, like, what really was
going
the
on?
Illness? Because it probably wasn't an illness, but you got to say it was an illness so that nobody has to ask questions. Then you don't have to answer any questions. But we could be wrong too, but it's just interesting.
It was strange. And my take on the Falcons are like, I feel like once you get out of the elite tier, they can play with anybody. But my thing is like, I actually like how they play in the clutch. I don't love how Desmond Ridder plays in the clutch. But my thing is like, there's something about the Falcons where it's just like, I feel like they should just be much better than they are. Like they have like very talented players. So it's just an interesting thing to me. Like I really like the Falcons and I actually think they can win the South, but it's just like, I don't know if they are good enough to beat another playoff caliber team.
Well, it's just a testament to how disappointing the NFC South is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought the Saints would be better. I did not think the Bucs would be as good. But kind of moving over to the other side, like Tampa Bay. What? I don't really know like what you do at this point sitting at 3-3. Like I think they're good enough to be like a 7th seed, but nothing more than that.
And this was the thing. So I wanted to open up with this. I actually already had this one planned out. Like when we asked, I think it was 3-4 weeks ago, we said, is Baker, could he be the bug
long
guy
term? Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is how things work in this world. Is that you ask a question, you get an answer. And the thing about it is, we got our answer very quickly.
It's so funny, and I'll let you keep going. But I usually like we'll post a video, and literally the week after, it'll just look like shit. Like last week, I uploaded, "Are the Lions contenders?" Or then I put, what else did I say? I said, the Buffalo Bills. I said the Buffalo Bills continue to flop. Where was it, bro? It was something about.
I know what you mean, bro. I've seen some before where I'm like, what are the chances? And it'll be like, what are the chances? Like, it'll be something that had like a 1% chance of occurring.
Oh, yeah. I put, can Baker Mayfield be the long-term solution at QB? That was 2 weeks ago. It had a lot of views, and then now
Yes, what you're telling me is we need to put out a video called "The Saints Are Literally Fucking Garbage."
I said, what's the problem with the Saints 2 days ago?
Yes. All right, we're cooking. We got to jinx them up. But no, jokes aside. Yeah, I think, look, here's what you're looking at if you're a Bucs fan, bro. Right? Very similar situation we were talking about with all these other teams. And the thing is, are the Bucs going to be able to realize it and be the ones to actually do right by it? What they're in is, look, and they already proved it. You won a ring with this core. Like, minus Tom, you won a ring with them. Yeah. We know this core can win a ring when they got the guy. But what's the thing? You got to have the guy. And are they in a position now where they're going to be able to put the guy back in the center of that team?
No.
And all those guys that were the guys, right? Everybody. I still love Shaq Barrett. I still love Vita. They're still all guys. But the thing is, they're not, I don't think, the guys that they were when they won the ring. And they're getting older every single year. You got Kalijah Kancey coming into his own, right? I still have Kalijah. But the thing is, you got good young guys. Ship out the old guys where you still got the chance. Get value for them. Build a whole new, and give yourself a shot to have a whole new window. Because if you keep riding out this whole, like, you're trying to hold on by a thread to a competitive roster, and you're trying to find the guy for them to lead. But the shot of you finding the guy in the current landscape to be able to go win a Lombardi with that team over the next 3-4 years. It's going to be hard. And it's like to everybody within that short window, you're going to have to pay again. You're going to have to, it's like you get rid of those guys now, get some second rounders, third rounders, first rounders. Now you can reload way quicker and have a window again.
Yeah.
But if they don't, we're going to be looking at them the same way we've been looking at a lot of these other teams like the Commanders, the Raiders. They're going to have no direction if they don't pull the plug soon because they have to redirect.
They kind of have to do it at the trade deadline. Like Mike Evans is about to walk for nothing.
That's what I'm saying. And even Chris at this point, like, let's be honest.
Yeah,
I love Chris. If you're a Bucs fan, you got to love him. Franchise legend, Godwin, right? Yeah. Franchise legend if you're a Bucs fan. But the truth is, you are never going to find more value than not to get rid of him because he's already getting older. He's already been injury ridden.
Yeah, he just signed a new contract too.
And if he's your wide receiver one with that team, it's like he's a great receiver, but I don't know if he's built to be anyone's one anymore. He's been hurt a lot. The consistency is everything. I don't think you want to trust him to be your one because of those reasons. It's not that he doesn't have talent. You just can't rely on him to be there every week. So I think the reality is, the Bucs have got a clean house. I think Bucs fans too, they'd be the most comfortable franchise to admit that though. If you sat down with any fan and base that knows they have to right now, Bucs fans would be like, you know what? Yeah, we did it. We won the ring. Brady came and showed us we built a great roster, but you know what? Let's redo it again. Because the reality is that's what else is there to look at.
Godwin would be like a perfect receiver for like Atlanta.
Yeah, I can name a bunch of good spots for him. But that's the thing is Tampa Bay the spot anymore?
No, it's not. But very interesting season for the Bucs. But let's move into a game that I don't think anybody expected to happen. We had the Lions at Baltimore, and the score was 6-38. What a shit show for the Lions. So I guess I want to ask you is like, why do you think Detroit fell apart in that game? Detroit.
Well, again, from because I said I was excited to watch the film for this one too. But again, the film is all 22 is actually still not even out yet, so I'm still waiting on the film. From what I saw in the broadcast, though, I didn't even get to watch the entire thing. You know how it is on the first day. You're red zoning. You're getting everything. You're trying to stay up with everything. From what I had seen, I think it looked like the Ravens had a lot more motion ready for them than they were ready to deal with, and they were just getting them out of position consistently. And their pass rush, I don't think, was ready for how much the pocket was going to move and how much they were going to have to stay in their gap and kind of like gap fill, because they would just they would flood the gap, and then Lamar says, oh, fuck it, you don't know who I am. And he would just step right up and go. And we know, as we said, this was going to be the Ravens offense the whole year, is what makes them so dangerous. Is Lamar is different in the sense of
Lamar played
he really
so
is good in the pocket now too. He's an elite. I'll say he's elite in the pocket now. And on top of that, he can do things in the pocket no one else can, escaping. So it's like, that's what we said. This was the one that really like shaped the narrative. We said the Ravens are some favorites out the AFC. If this receiving core can play like this every single week, circa Tom Brady 2015 type stuff, where you're like, you don't need as much of superstar guys. You just need one really good. You need one guy you can trust, and then the rest of them are just to be serviceable that day. Which in this case is Mark Andrews. You can trust, and everyone else got to be serviceable. You know what? The Ravens can hang with anybody, but it comes down to that core and how they want to play that day. Because we've seen there are certainly days they will take Lamar out of the game. Yeah, so it comes down to them. Because Lamar is going to show up. That's how I look at it at this point.
So you would consider the Ravens real contenders then?
There's no doubt. And again, with Monken running the offense like this, the offensive coordinator change was all you needed. It really was. It's so great to see this happening live. Because like we said about, I won't say his name yet. We said about somebody where we've seen how they went from great coaching to the mediocre coaching, and now we're seeing the regression. You see how it is with the guy who we're like, trust me, he needs the guy who will put him in the right position.
That is a very good
point.
And
then you see him putting him in the right position. You're like, see, it's not just that a guy can just be the greatest player on earth without help around them. You got to have something that works together. Nobody's just that talented as a football player that they go out and do it themselves. It has to be a system.
So let me ask you this then, Dobbs. What do you think Detroit needs to do going forward to make sure this doesn't happen again? Because I think everyone was super on the Lions hype train, and then once they faced like an elite team, they got destroyed.
But I think this is the thing nobody's really been talking about. I think this is my biggest thing about this game with the Lions. Okay. I think the Lions fans would agree. And again, yes, is a 32-point loss is this an excuse for it? No. Let me be clear. Losing the game is an excuse for, in a sense, losing the game. But the 32-point loss is atrocious, and it does need to be. They're going to address it. There's going to be a lot of things that have got to change how physically approach it. Dan Campbell's going to make sure that they hear about it. But aside from that, my main point. I think the Lions are much more reliant on having Dave Montgomery in the game plan than we had thought. Obviously, having their bell cow guy.
Because even Jahmyr Gibbs had a good day.
That's
his best day.
We can see that they don't trust him enough to ever give him the same reps they're going to give Monty right now, because the game plan is clearly was not revolving around him. It was very like, Ben, drop your best shotgun heavy day. Give me your best play action heavy day out of single, out of eye. And we're going to run and we're going to try to get to fool them because we don't want to give Jameer the ball 30 times. He's going to fumble it once. He's going to mess some up once. And unfortunately, that's how they approached the day. And it was like, we're going to get Craig in there to pass block because we don't trust Jameer pass block that butt. You get what I'm saying. And they kind of had to rock with how they had to rock it. I think that's kind of part of the issue too, is that when you don't trust Jameer to be out there blocking the whole time as much too, it turns into like, well, if Craig's out there, there's probably a much better chance it's going to be a pass block. And then it gets much easier to really know what's going on. And it's like, that's part of the problem too. I think the Ravens kind of knew exactly what to expect because the Lions were put in a bind that they put themselves in a bind, not trusting Jameer and Craig the same way they trust Monty.
Well, also, it's like, can you trust Jameson Williams? He was targeted 6 times and didn't catch a single one.
That's looking like it was I'm not going to call it a bad pick yet, but we're going to call it, and they obviously,
it's questionable right now.
They overassessed the value for sure.
Yeah, it's really a shame. Their offense would have been ridiculous if he ends up working out. Like,
I think they do also in his defense, though. They need to start using him more just for what he's doing, is to be
deep shots.
It's like you got to just.
But he dropped that one.
It's like send him. I think I know, and that's the thing. It's tough because he's not producing. But I think to get his confidence up, I think sometimes they try to use him a little. You try to. I get it. You want to get him in the game. You want to get him blocking a lot. You want to get him to bring the defense down. If he runs a curl, if he runs a drag, he's going to slide someone out. My thing is, look, just get him down the seam consistently. Get him to stretch the defense. If you don't have to target him once that game. He will take a safety out of the game the entire game. You just got to use him as such.
I agree. Yeah, it's kind of like when the Bears were trying to have Chase Claypool block. Like,
he's a good blocker. It's like he can do it. He's not Chase Claypool where he can't. But my thing is just like in the sense of like it's not his skill set where you gotta be. Yeah. Let's not make that his main thing. Like, what's the point?
All right, let's move into our next game. Pittsburgh at Los Angeles. I actually think this game was a little bit of a ref show at the end. So
it was, I would say, one of the more entertaining games of the week that I didn't expect. It was a weird game. Like, fit into an odd category.
What do you think? Like, realistically, the Steelers are? Because right now they're sitting at 4-2, second in the North, and it's just like, I mean, they're ahead of the Browns and the Bengals, but I don't think they're better than the Browns or the Bengals.
You want to know what the Steelers are?
What are they?
They're Mike Tomlin's team. They're going to show up every fucking week and give you a fucking just crazy, tough, son of a bitch ass game. You're not going to be able to get out of there easy. You're going to get jumped a couple times. You're going to get hit in the face. A chair's going to smack you across the face where you're trying to get out the door. You may or may not beat up your opponent. That's how it feels playing Steelers at this point if you're an opponent, right?
Yeah.
It's like every single week, they're going to come and fucking fight you. They're going to give you everything they have, even if they're totally undersized. They're going to make sure that you feel them the next day. That's the Steelers. And it's like, so to answer the question, it's like, I don't think they're going to make a run. It's like, I don't think
they have a shot at the playoffs.
But I can't. Things can you ever say the Steelers don't have a shot at going? You can't really say whether they have a shot to go or they don't go.
Right.
The thing is, they show up every single week and they give their opponent a tough game. But that's the thing is, when it comes to, and we've seen even this year already, when they come to a team that's really going to outmatch them, I don't think they're going to be able to show up and give them everything that they need to win the game. Because they are not the best team in the league. They're not. It is the Steelers. They're a simple team. They're tough. They're hard, and they're always going to be that way. But they're not built to go, I don't think, make a run. I think, given this point, I'm giving them credit. I think that they are a worse team than the record shows. But that's a good problem to have, right? It's not a bad thing.
No.
But so to answer the question, I don't think the Steelers can make a run, and but I do think that they're Mike Tomlin's team. They're a tough team, and they're always going to.
You'll never know what to expect. No.
You never know what to expect in terms of if you can win the game or not. If you think you can win against them, you got to reevaluate because they're always going to come. You got to scratch your head when you play the Steelers. It's just how it is at this point.
Yeah, I think also another thing going to the other side of things with the Rams is like, do they have a player in Puka Nacua? Like,
we'll address this in a second.
Is he an All-Pro this year?
Oh, he's actually no. I'm glad. No, hold on. Now that you pull it up, let me pull up the exact numbers right now. Because if he stays on the same pace he is right now, there's no doubt he is literally gonna be very likely, an All-Pro his rookie year. Because he's on pace for at least 1,600 yards right now.
He's already got touchdowns? 750.
Like 7 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns.
He has 2 touchdowns this year.
So he'd probably be on pace like 6.
But he has about 60 catches.
That's the thing is, with a guy like Puka, it's going to be hard to get them the ball in the end zone because that's kind of how it goes.
He was making some ridiculous catches. Like the Rams, imagine if the Rams decided to say, fuck it, and go get a top quarterback this year. Like they are the team that would do that. And like Kyron Williams looks good. Puka looks good. Cooper still looks good. Higbee's solid. Like they have all the weapons ready. If they improve the line further and get a young QB, especially with McVay, I mean, the Rams could be right back to dominating in a year or two.
In I don't want to say every single one, but give me 1 second here. Hold on. Because I can't say every single one, but I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Because this is what I'm going to say. The Rams, because the thing, they're on the fuck the pick strategy. We know how they've been operating. But look, everyone's saying, when you draft how they have been drafting in the late rounds, you get away with it. They drafted literally already one of the better guards in the league, Steve Avila. You drafted Byron Young, who's already playing at a starting level for sure. Throw him on the line. He's already starting. He's playing as a very solid edge rusher. Already one of the, I'd say, top half edge rushers in the league his rookie year. He's playing good. He's not out there all the time. You would say he's out there. He has good reps. Kobe Turner playing awesome. Starting here. He's out here getting starting reps. The thing about the Rams is like, that's the thing is when you're hitting on your late picks and you're rebuilding, but they're rebuilding. But when you're hitting these late picks, it's like you're building and you already trade well and stuff to get the good guys. It's like, the Rams are in a good position, I feel like, where I thought they were going to be in a perennially really rough situation after the Bowl, but they're proven. The fuck the pick strategy, it works when you got a good scouting department.
Yeah, no, it does. My bad. I thought you were going to keep going there. No, I like the Rams, what they're doing, man. And it's like very impressive what they're doing. Here's the thing is like, I still think Stafford is really, really good. I just think like his mistakes kill them a lot of the time. Like, he has 6 interceptions this year, so like 1 per game. And like he's thrown 2 in some games and shit, but it's just like it's really tough like to win when you're constantly turning the ball over.
No, yeah, and I think no matter how, it's like even if you think Stafford's still going to be able to get you into a situation where you might be able to win a playoff game, get to the playoffs, you got to put the guy behind him now that's going to at least start learning the offense and to be able to be ready to step in soon because it can't go much longer, more than a few more years at most. A couple more years at most with Stafford. And that's at most.
That's what I can see them do, though. Maybe drafting a QB, having him sit for a year.
No, yeah, probably best case scenario, right?
Yeah, I think that needs to be more of a trend instead of throwing these guys into the fire right away.
Definitely does need to be more of a trend.
Moving into our next game, we have Arizona at Seattle. Seattle wins. Let me ask you this: how far can this Seahawks team go this year? If everyone's healthy, how far can they go? And I don't know. This is live on the show, but Uchenna Nwosu is going to miss the rest of the year for surgery.
Okay, that is tough.
Torn pec.
That's really tough. I think that actually kind of to an extent is going to further what I'm going to say right here.
Okay, I just wanted to give you that before. Yeah.
I think they could win a playoff game.
Okay.
But I don't think let's be realistic. I think it would take a very, very crazy turn of events for anything to go further than that.
No shot they win the West, even though they're only 1 game behind.
That's the thing. There's you know what? Maybe. But I think no matter what, winning a playoff game, no matter whether it was the wild card round or the divisional, it's like there's no way they're going to move past that because I just think they're too young of a team.
Okay.
It's kind of like, you know what I mean? It's like minus Geno. They're really young. They're really young. You know, you guys get the veteran experience at quarterback. It's just, the Seahawks, I don't think they got a lot of good stuff, but when you combine in the weight of like, which going toe to toe with another guy that he's probably going toe to toe against, it's going to be really tough. And the Seahawks it's the youth. It's the youth. When the youth shows up in the playoffs a lot of the time, and I feel like the Seahawks will be a prime case of that. Like, it's really hard to get a group of really young guys to go be more mature in the moment and ready to show up to play that game. Especially if they're not in where they're playing home field advantage. It's like, which probably is not going to be the case. Yeah, it's going to be a tough situation for them to go do anything further than first round.
I think it's nice, though, because like I think Geno has played exactly how you'd expect him to play. And I think the contract they gave him is like perfect for what he is. And I really like the Seahawks.
If only more teams understood it that way.
Right. You'd think. And like with DK Metcalf out, like I think JSN, Bobo, Lockett, like Fant even played well. And like that's what the Seahawks are, in my opinion. Their players play exactly how you'd expect them to play, which is really nice sometimes. I mean, sometimes you want them to ball out a little bit more, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the Seahawks are a solid team all around. They're young. their defensive young guys make plays, Witherspoon making plays and everything like that. But, going over to the Cardinals, I think the story is the same with them every week. They play every team hard, but I think Josh Dobbs is starting to deteriorate in his level of play. Like, I think sometimes, like, the bad mistakes, like, sometimes he just takes sacks that are just like, dude, just throw the ball away. Like, dude was running backwards, like nonstop. Like, you're getting sacked. Like, throw the ball. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna give him credit. To Josh Dobbs' credit, he's fighting to do everything he can.
Yeah.
You know what it is, and I'm sure if we were to get an honest response from him, he would never say this, because why would he? Why would he say that it's gonna look bad? But even though it shouldn't, because it's the truth, he would say, "Look, man, I'm taking advantage of every second I'm starting for this team. I'm probably not gonna ever have this opportunity ever again.
Right.
I fought tooth and nail. I'm a fucking NASA scientist out here, or whatever." Whatever it is, whatever he does.
Yeah.
NASA, whatever. He does like space, and he's out. He's like, fuck it, man. Every second I got to be a starter, I'm fighting every guy starting second to make a play. Like, I will look back and have a moment where I'm like, that was me and I made that play. Because he's never going to have this opportunity again. That's probably is why he's playing the way he's playing. Because I agree, it doesn't even feel like stuff he used to do. I'm looking at him like, Josh, what the fuck? He's going back 30 yards, throwing cross body. You're like, what is going on, Josh? But again, you know what?
Care.
He knows the team is not meant to have any expectations. It's a great situation to be in, to have no expectations, and for him.
And he knows he'll never start on any team.
Well, it's just being realistic. He's a guy where you could potentially pick him up to be a starter for a week or two on a crazy, exactly, as a backup or something. But in this type of situation where he actually won the starter week 1, you are our starter. We were promoting you as such. You can always look back and have this year you were the starter out for the week 1. It's like he's going to say fuck it and take every opportunity to do something Mahomes like, and have that one moment with the family forever. Hey, remember that time I did that on national TV? Like, you know what I mean?
That's what the Cardinals are this year.
That's really
and
exactly.
Kyler's coming back soon. I heard they want him to play.
See, that's where you guys have to question what's going on. And like, I get it from the front office perspective too. Maybe it's like we want to get people in the building this year, keep hope up this year, keep sales up this year. Because if you're a Cardinals fan, I guess you're probably going to start looking at selling the tickets if they don't give you a reason to come around. Because realistically, what's the point this year?
Realistically, though, I'm thinking about it. Like, I don't know if they can really move him this year. Like, I don't know what team is going to pay that price.
I think I'm starting to lean more like the Cardinal situation is looking more and more like they probably will try to give Kyler a go round of things. You're competitive now. It's like you look like you could compete now if you threw Kyler in there. Like, it's like, why risk? Almost, it's like we thought there could be so much more behind the line, like losing by like 30 points consistently and shit. Where it's like, you're gonna have time to throw a guy and have him develop. Now it's like, I think actually the best case is to get Kyler back in and try to compete as soon as possible, because they clearly are trying.
I want them to win a couple games.
Yeah, it's like exactly
because
you guys definitely do.
Yeah. All right, moving into the next game, we have the Packers at the Denver Broncos, and my question to you is, do the Packers suck?
It's like I'm struggling to feel out the Packers, but I think if I had to like put the Packers into a category, it's like I don't even want to say like I'm trying to give them a break, but I feel like they are in a very like different situation. A lot of teams where Jordan Love makes some plays where I'm like, oh yeah, like that's the Jordan Love I knew and I thought he was going to be, and then there's a lot of like plays too where he'll make where it's like, oh, like he still isn't all the way ready. Like he still definitely is going to have growing pains. He's going to have like moments where like, whoa, especially in this game. We don't know what I'm talking about in this game to end the game. So it's like,
that was horrible.
It was. And I think on top of what makes it so tough for me is it's like the receiving core, again, you got like young guys I like, and you got young guys I think are going to be really good in this league in the future.
Musgrave, Dobbs, Watson, Reed.
Exactly. But it's like this year, it's just not going to look crazy. And I think it's the things I don't even, in a sense, what I'm really trying to say is I will never fully judge this Packers team yet until I can see a year, like I want to see like another year of development with everybody. But let's just say it like this. If after this year goes and there's still not any improvement, and then we get even to halfway into next year and it still looks like this, and they didn't add anybody else in the offense, is still pedestrian like this, then it's going to be time to panic. Like, okay, was the Jordan Love experiment a complete mess? Like, what do we do about the offense? Because it's like, they're just so young and getting used to each other that I feel like it's kind of like this was almost bound to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
It's like Packers fans, of course, everybody was like, it didn't look so early, like, the narrative for so long, like, oh my God, the Packers are just, we can't knock them down. They're going to always be there to compete. It's like, okay, we're seeing that is not exactly what the narrative of the case is going to be. But I also don't think it's as bleak necessary as everyone else's outlook is, that it's on the other side where it's like, oh, they just suck and they're terrible. I think it's kind of just like, they are what they really are and what we thought they were. Like, they're a young team that's kind of just finding its footing.
Yeah.
They're not good or bad, but they're definitely on the bad side of things. I'm going to say it like that. They are definitely on the bad side of things.
So let me ask you this, because I believe, and I could be wrong, I'm going to look this up actually, but I believe Jordan Love is under contract until the end of next year. That sounds right? Yeah, the end of 2024. What are the chances that Jordan Love is the starter beyond that contract, do you think? Because right now I'm not thinking it's very likely.
Yeah, I'm thinking, again, if that's the thing, is if it stays like this, absolutely not. But that's the thing. It's like I can't even say anything till next year or even later in this year, because it's just everything about this offense is still just so new.
Yeah.
Where with like they're all getting used to each other. I'm gonna wait, but I feel like, yeah, I'll say it to your point. As of right now, it's not
Probably
looking like
low.
it's the likely case.
Right. All right. Well, let's go over to the Broncos really quickly. Yeah, they won a game. Russ didn't look horrible. Javonte Williams played well. Cortland Sutton was balling out. Like, what is I don't really know. I don't really have a question for you about the Broncos. It's just kind of like, what I mean, they won, yay, but like, I don't know.
What about Jerry Jeudy was productive, yay. That's side note.
Yeah.
If you're a Broncos fan, you got to be cheesing about
First
that one.
game ever. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just like this team is like weird, man.
I just think, yeah, again, nothing has changed about what's going to have to happen.
No.
Like, it's just, they are exactly what they were last week still. It's like, you pulled one out against a team that's on the bad side of things for sure. And
I thought the Packers were locked to win this game.
No, for sure. And what I want to talk about is, I guess this is the only thing we can really even discuss about this game, because again, they haven't really given us anything new. They're still the same Broncos they were last week. But Sean Payton said after the game that him and Vance Joseph are in a great spot.
Okay, that's what I will say though. Like,
you're full of shit to me. You like that's, again, I get he has to be, but like you.
I was having this conversation with my dad actually, and I said, because the Broncos won this game, I said, do you think this game is the start of something different where, and I'm not saying they're about to go out and win like the rest of the year. Like, I'm not going to say, like, realistically, I think the most they pick up is another 4 or 5 games. But what I'm saying is, do you think new staff, a lot of new players, new philosophy, new way of going about things, do you think that may have finally clicked for the Broncos where they have chances to win this game? Because right now they currently own the NFC North with the wins versus the Bears and the Packers.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I feel like, yeah, like, I feel like
if they beat the Chiefs next week, do you think they're a little bit back?
Well, if they could do that, that'd be the first time that Mahomes has lost to them. I think that would easily be Sean Payton's biggest win in Broncos.
Yeah.
I can't say uniform. In Broncos gear.
In Broncos gear.
In Broncos merchandise. That would be, yeah. So, is it likely though?
No, it's not likely.
But it's really something to watch for, because that's going to be, no matter how you slice it, that is going to be that's one
narrative
where when that happens, it's going to be fun to talk about, because everyone's been waiting for it for so long. You just want to see at this point. You're like, can the Broncos beat Mahomes?
Yeah.
Can we see that's possible?
All right, let's move into our next game. We have Los Angeles Chargers at Kansas City Chiefs. You already know what question's coming.
Oh, no.
How much of this loss is on Justin Herbert?
Can we call it for what it is at this point? Oh, I'm ready. Because this has been our thing forever. I don't think we ever strayed away from this.
No.
Again, because this is exactly what it is.
I was heavy on the hate and I lightened up. But
for me, it's not even hate.
The narrative, it's not hate, but like, I was hating on. Like, the narrative and true point of what I was always saying remains true.
No, that's the thing, is that because I was always, that's the thing, I wasn't even hating on the man. I was just trying to always be like, but it's like, it never changed. I'm trying to be objective, but the truth is, he has very elite traits. He does. He has elite traits. But it's like, the man is not making decisions quick enough, and he's not letting it rip quick enough. No matter how much arm talent you have, no matter how much arm strength you have, no matter how pretty of a ball you throw, if you're not getting the ball to where it needs to be, exactly where it needs to be, it doesn't matter. He's not doing that right now. Call it for what it is.
Yeah, man. Joshua Palmer balled out, but it's like you're supposed to be going toe to toe with the Chiefs. To lose by 2 touchdowns, I mean, you're 2-4. Like this, if you look at the Chargers roster over the last 3 years and to see what they've done with it is like malpractice. Like this is a team that is much better than the record shows.
And I want to point this out.
That's
too.
all coaching, though.
It is, and this is the thing. This is really where if you're a Chargers fan, it's like, all right, what again? What are we doing? Back to Staley. You got 1 sack against Mahomes, and guess who it came from? Came from Kenneth Murray. Can't have if an interior linebacker is pulling off a blitz and get home off a stunt, cool, that's great. But if we're not getting pressure on this man, we are not going to win. If you're a Chargers fan,
you're not getting pressure with Bosa, Mack, like
this. It's like and then on the other side of things, we got the Chiefs getting home with Mike Dana, and yes, same thing. We're really gay linebacker, cool. Drew Trickle, linebacker stuff, okay. But then Amanahu, okay, getting home, great. So you got 2 defensive linemen getting home. You have 2 linebackers getting home. The point of the matter is, and Chiefs getting way more pressure. Chiefs getting home way more with the not as good of a personnel. So what am I saying here? Brandon Staley's a fraud. He has been a fraud. The scheme is fraud. I don't know what else to say. It's actually he might be the one stealing the most money from anybody in the league at this point.
Yeah,
because it's like with Staley, you gave that man the script to the team, the keys to the team. How do you fuck that up?
Yeah,
the Chargers has got to be the worst situation where you're like, oh man, he is staining money.
It's also just like they got Kellen Moore, and it's like the offense was really good, and the offense isn't horrible, but it's just like underperforming. Like I don't know, because the weapon thing really isn't. It can't be a narrative anymore for Justin because it's like Palmer had 5 catches for 133 yards. Keenan Allen's been balling. They took a 1st-round pick on Quentin Johnson, whether they missed or not. It's a 1st-round pick. Like. I don't know. Eckler hasn't been everything. I mean, I know he was dealing with the injury, but yeah, the Chargers are just a disappointment once again. But what's new? I mean, is there much to say about the Chiefs other than Mahomes and Kelsey are just them?
I'll say this.
Rashee Rice is looking very nice.
I think that's the thing. It's like I don't even want to gas up the offense. We know every Chiefs fan, everybody knows with the Chiefs offense. Yeah. They're getting Mahomes. Again, I'll say this. I think this was his 10th time throwing over 400 yards since he got in the league or something.
That's crazy.
He's just, I mean, Mahomes is done. I think it was his 10th time. It's just unbelievable. But also, I want to talk about the defense again. Back to the defense. I mean, everyone's flying around. Trent McDuffie turned into one of the best corners in the league already in his 2nd year. It's like, if you're a Chiefs fan, man, you gotta love it. It's just back to you gotta love it. Like, who's playing bad this year? And I think the one who I really wanted to shout out, who was it that I really need to shout out? Hold on, give me 1 second here. I want to make sure that I'm not capping. Oh, wait, that's great. Hold on.
Wait.
That's who it was.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to make sure. Got to give big shouts. Because I said it coming into the year. I was like, I felt like he was undervalued. He got like a super low contract. But Mike Edwards coming in, just kind of taking a role on this Chiefs defense, say, you know what? I'm here. I need a role. I'm coming. Just, you want to throw me in the box, throw me in the box. You want to throw me up top, throw me up top. I'm going to make plays. Got to love it. You're a Chiefs fan. You're just in got to love it territory.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much less to say on this game just because basically what these teams are showed through and through. So let's move into our last game here. Game that happened last night, Miami at Philly. Is Miami overrated?
I think yes. Because here's the thing, though, again, it's not that they're a great team. That's where I want to be clear about it. It's like they are a great team. But I think right now when I'm watching them, unfortunately, I do think I am kind of siding on the side of things where it's like they're really close to being ready to be there, but I don't know if they're there right now.
Right.
Because I think what it comes down to with almost everybody in the league is, but again, you could say maybe not. You could point at the Chiefs and tell me to fuck off. You could tell me I'm crazy. But they're different. They have Mahomes. I think what is it that from my perspective that they're missing right now? I don't think that they have that 1D lineman that's just going to wreck things in the crucial down. They don't have that guy.
And they traded a first for Brandley Chubb.
He's not playing bad.
No.
I want to be clear. He's not playing bad. He's been productive. But that's the thing is, he's not. I don't think any Dolphins would agree. He's not playing. He's not game wrecking like you would have expected for the value. And more than anything, they need that guy. I think every team, if you're going to win the bowl, unless you have a Mahomes, a Brady, You need the guy that is going to just blow stuff up when it matters most. I don't think they have that yet, and that is in my mind what's going to separate them from the teams I do have all the way competing, minus the Chiefs. Again, you have time. Maybe they can make a splash here at the end of the year, but I don't think they're gonna. They're already paying a lot of guys in that position group. So it's like, it could not. But no matter what, unless they make that splash, I don't think that they're ready this year. I do think that they're incredibly close. Again, could they make the run? Dolphins fans know. Absolutely, they're very talented. But again, I don't think they're on the likely side of it because of the fact that they're missing that big third down guy for in the crucial playoff run. I just don't think I think that's what it comes down to.
Okay. So the Eagles came out with the win last night. What did you like? How do you feel about the Eagles kind of as a team? Because I think the narrative has kind of been like they're really good, but like no one feels super confident in like the continuity of the team.
But see, that's the thing is, and I feel like I'm going to be a contrarian here and be on the opposite side of things. It's like, if anything, I just need more faith in them. Like,
Okay.
I think they're getting better every week.
I agree.
We know
I
the
would agree with
pedigree.
that.
We know the pedigree. And again, back to the trenches. If you're asking me right now, I said this earlier. I'm just going to say it again. There's no doubt in my mind. As of right now, I think the Eagles will take home the Lombardi this year because of this. Again, I do think it's going to be, I think we're going to see a rematch of last year again. I really do. I think it's
And they
going to be a
got
crazy rematch.
Kevin Byard today
That's what I was going to say next.
taking
where
the
it's like,
swings. Yeah.
they take the swings. They're adding all pro talent actively. At this point, Howie Roseman may be the only GM who genuinely cares about his team. I mean, like, it's like a joke. He's literally dog walking, like I said. He's dog walking the other GM. He's showing you how it's meant to be done. He's actively, he's proactive. He doesn't just wait for something to fuck up to fix it. He fixes things before they fuck up. Other GMs need to learn something from him. But yeah, the man's just on top of everything. You add Kevin Byard to an already stacked team. They have, again, back to the trenches though. The Eagles' trenches win games. If those trenches stay healthy, teams are gonna have so much fucking trouble with them come playoff time. It's just. And again, that's just, you had Kevin Byard. You had another all-pro to this unit to just roam the back end. Anytime you come out in a cover 3 shallow or anything like that, you're like, I am so confident that Kevin Byard's going to be out there locking things up. It just comes down to health at this point.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, can they stay healthy? But the Eagles are just, the chemistry, too, I think, between that I want to talk about, between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. We saw it was the fight on sideline, maybe you worried a little bit. It's like ever since then, what the man has had, how many weeks? 6 of them? 125 plus yards? It's
He's
like,
balling.
Yeah, and I think what I want to say too, last thing on the Eagles, just AJ Brown has kind of, I feel like, I'm saying this as back when I was, when Michael Thomas had his crazy year with the cat, just when he broke out all the way, and you're like, oh man, Michael Thomas is the best receiver in the league right now. With AJ, it's starting to feel like where it's like, man, he's not the best. What I'm saying is, it's like you really can't put someone in front of him that can guard him one-on-one. It's starting to feel like that.
Yeah,
like
he's
you
ridiculous.
really can't guard him one-on-one. He's gonna bully anybody you put in front of him one-on-one. You got to at least throw 2 people on him almost every snap. Huge advantage to have as an offense.
100%. I think the Eagles, yeah, they're definitely Super Bowl favorites in the NFC besides the 49ers. Like, those are really the only 2 teams that I would consider Super Bowl contenders in the NFC.
It's like a train collision course for the NFC Championship as long as they stay healthy. It's just health. Like,
yeah, honestly. But yeah, no, that is the rest. That is all of it. Monday night game has not happened yet, so we got nothing to go over there. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. This has been You Don't Know Ball 56.
Yes, sir. We appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoyed, drop a like, drop a sub. We'd love to see you back around. We appreciate y'all so much. Y'all have a great rest of your day.